Hello and welcome to level 22 of the Thoughts and Players podcast, the brand new gaming podcast with bold takes and no strings attached. I am Jeremy, and I am here once again with my two compadres. I have David.
What up?
And of course, I have Cory.
Cheers, love. The cavalry's here.
Okay, that is what?
I know
Really?
that one.
You do know that one, David, and you're fired if you don't say what it is.
But I know it.
I mean, you literally have over 1,000 hours into this game.
It's Tracer.
It's Tracer.
Okay. I got it. Good.
Awesome.
No
And
meaning
Tracer
behind
is
this
in?
one. Overwatch.
There you go.
Yes.
No meaning, you just want to say it.
I just wanted to flex my little British accent. I know I didn't do a very good job, but it's fun.
So you're telling me that this game quote is more useless than the usual game quote?
Well, all right. So
Usually the game quotes are related to something, some tone setter for the episode you want.
All right, you know what? You pushed me. I'm going to do it, okay? The reason I actually picked this quote, I was going to save this for final thoughts, but the cavalry is represented by the games in the game draft that we did a month ago at this point, because I've had two of my games reviewed. A level 5th round pick, which was Super Mario 3D World,
Right.
which is now currently, you also have Mass Effect Legendary Collection, which is now currently at an 89 Metacritic.
Nice.
And we have Persona 5 Strikers, the
Mhm.
game that you called would be trash because there's no good striker games. That is sitting
Definitely
at
didn't say that.
that's sitting at an 85. So
this is
that's a
starting off
3rd round
great.
pick and a 5th round pick. I am in the driver's seat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I think I purposely said don't do it when you were going to pick strikers because I knew that was one I wanted.
But
So,
then you got butthurt saying there's never been a good strikers game.
Right. Also, spot on imitation. Spot on.
I mean, I just did Tracer, and now I did
I
Jeremy
mean,
Brown. So
Yeah, I couldn't tell who was talking.
Can't tell any of who and who. Yeah. Guys, welcome to level 22 of Thoughts and Players. Obviously, you can tell we're in a spicy mood today. So with that spice being put on the table for you guys to dine upon, the first course of this several course meal will be the morning announcements. So, item number 1. I don't know if you guys forgot about this. It's a huge gaming event, right? Convention, you may say, where everyone converges someplace in California to talk about games. It's called the Entertainment Something Expo, but we refer to it as E3. And this year, 2021, E3 will be back. Guys, now before E3 went kaput because of the pandemic, they were already losing people left and right. So my question is, I think it was a couple years ago, they started letting the public come to them. And that's weirdly when a lot of these companies started pulling out. Do you think, what's your idea on this, that they're bringing it back? And do you think that it will be welcomed back because we haven't had stuff like this happening over the past year or so?
Well, it is an all-digital event this year coming up. So I think it'll be a little bit easier for companies to promote their stuff if they want to. Like you said, it's already been falling apart now with like the digital age. Everyone just kind of does it when they want to do it themselves. You know, Ubisoft can do this anytime. Nintendo's already been doing stuff like that. Microsoft, Sony. So I don't know if it'll come back in a big way, but I'm happy to see it back. For me, E3 was always like Gamer Christmas. You know, it had that little like 3-day span, and I loved watching the conferences. So I really hope some of them come back and really put a good effort into it.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that because like the E3, you know, it's a bunch of things like coming together, and like sure we have Nintendo Direct, PlayStation things, you know, Xbox, they all have their own separate things. But the thing is, if people don't like those, they just don't watch them. But if they're watching E3 and something they don't like comes in and they catch something like, oh, you know what? That doesn't look too bad. So if participating in E3, you might catch a viewer or 100 that wouldn't necessarily watch your stuff if it was solely your presentation.
That's interesting. So I'll say that the reason I assumed it was going to be in person is because it feels like that's the only niche they could really fill right now. Because, like you guys said, all these other companies can do their digital presentations. A lot of them were already doing that. And if it's being solely online, being digitally viewed, I've always identified that with the Game Awards, which I know is an award ceremony, but usually a lot of announcements and reveal trailers and stuff are done there as well. So E3 was already losing its juice, and the Game Awards has been finding its footing. So to do it digitally, I mean, I understand that you're trying to not, keep things safe and everything like that.
Right.
But I don't know. It's interesting. News item number 2. And we're going to make this quick because we're sick and tired of talking about this company. CD Projekt Red has suffered a cyber attack. The source code for Cyberpunk 2077 and The Witcher 3, I believe, were thefted and sold on the digital black market. Sounds so cool. The story sounds more interesting than their previous game they released. That's pretty much it, though. Guys, any thoughts on it?
I mean, it's a really crappy thing that happened. Like, I get Cyberpunk is a disaster, but like what they did with The Witcher 3, that was a really great game that everyone really enjoyed. I think they're a good company, at least the people like making the games, and I don't think they deserve to have their work just stolen like that.
Right.
So I think they attacked the wrong people. But that's all I have on that.
Yeah. You summed it up great. I really have no more words to say. It sucks for the company.
Yeah. 8 years of development.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. News item number 3. Sony is facing a class action lawsuit for the drift in their DualSense controller. Now, I heard about people suing over controller drift. There was some of that happening with the Switch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now it's going here. I don't understand it really, because I get that drift happens. I don't know. That seemed like a natural thing of stuff just falling out of calibration. But apparently it's something that you can sue for. It's a major issue. And Sony's gotta do some lawyering stuff, I guess. Yeah.
No, what is the drift exactly? Like, stuff just kind of moves on its own if you're not holding a analog stick or something?
Right. Yep. And I think the goal of the lawsuit is just to make Sony responsible for it, because if this lawsuit doesn't happen, Sony's like, hey, you bought our product. This is going to happen regardless. But I think it's happening too quick. This console's been out less than 6 months. So if you're already getting faulty controllers, it's like they're not going to openly say, hey, you should refund your controllers. So you got to kind of force their hand.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. News item number 4. Riot Games CEO faces allegations of gender discrimination and sexual harassment. Now, Riot Games has been in the news for the past 2-3 years because of bad culture, a frat bro kind of culture has been termed, and things like gender discrimination and sexual harassment happening, not only in the C-suite, so the CEO or CFO, whatever, but just among management in different areas in the company. And they made a fund. They had to settle a lawsuit that happened, and apparently it's all for show because the center of the culture seems to not be changing.
Sounds about right.
I mean, bad people are going to stay bad people. So until you kind of get these people out of your company, that kind of culture, I don't think is going to change.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Unfortunately. So we have news item number 5. Ratchet and Clank. It's been announced that it's going to be coming out June 11th. This is one of the games they showed. I forgot which PlayStation presentation it was, but them showing it being one of the, console exclusives coming to it. I saw it. I thought it looked pretty cool. I was amped up for it. And we got a date for it. So this year.
Yeah, it's exciting. They said they would come like around launch. I guess this is around launch still. But it is going to be priced at $70, which seems high for Ratchet and Clank when the last one was a budget game. So we'll see how much they really added to it, how much, longer the game is, but I'm excited for it, but now it's a little tempered by the price tag.
Yeah. That's the price going for all PS1
PS5
first party.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, PS1 games, $70.
PS5 first party games, right?
True, but like I said, with Ratchet and Clank being a budget title before, you think maybe it would be $50 because that seems to be their new budget price, like with Miles Morales. So I think this set expectations even a little higher. If you're selling a $70 game, you better get a $70 experience.
Yeah,
I can agree with that.
Well, so far a lot of companies have been failing to give us a $60 experience, so we'll see what happens. Speaking of failing to give you a $60 experience, news item number 6, Hawkeye. Remember that guy that people debate if he should even be an Avenger or not? Well, he's going to be the newest character for Marvel's Avengers, which came out last year, and it is getting a next-gen update or upgrade on March 18th. From what I recall, Cory, this game was no bueno.
No bueno. It lost Square Enix a ton of money.
Yeah.
Now, I kind of left this in here because I want to know your opinion now. Obviously, they want to keep selling copies. They want to get as many people to buy this game as possible. The first DLC character they brought out was Kate Bishop, which I don't know if you're aware of what kind of character she is. She's Hawkeye's protege. And then the very next character they bring out is Hawkeye. Like, this isn't the way to bring out DLC characters, right? You don't bring out 2 Hawkeyes back to back when you have a crew of just some of the coolest characters in all of fiction, and you start your DLCs with 2 Hawkeyes. It's just like, I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking.
I don't know if they are.
They're thinking right.
That's
or maybe not thinking about the right things, let's say.
Right.
Yeah, priorities might not be in order.
Very interesting. They brought out the protege before him, especially when it seems to be most of the things about them are similar except for one thing. So it's very interesting. News item number 7. This is also very interesting. Black Team Cold War. I'm actually mean Black Ops Cold War is within the top 20 selling games, not of the year, not of the season, but in United States, U.S. history. Now, I bought this game because, again, the Series X launched without an exclusive, and I played it, a very average Call of Duty. Cory, you play it, you have it, and you've been playing this very weird multiplayer mode where you get to hide as a box and people have to find you, right?
Yes.
There's obviously Warzone, which is part of it, but Warzone existed before the game came out. Guys, what happened here? How is this game one of the top 20 selling games in U.S. history?
Okay, so I'm gonna go out on a limb here because I haven't played it yet, but I've seen gameplay of it, and from what I am getting a grasp of, is it went back to the original Call of Duties, like Black Ops, Modern Warfare 2, like kind of esque area. It's not like Infinite Warfare stuff, people double jumping and whatever. And I think that is why, because it brought back a lot of the players that used to play the game. And then we have all these new people playing the game. And then people just with the Warzone, they just, upgrade to the next game. So I think that's why. I think they did it right with going backwards to go forwards.
I think one of the keys, like David, I think you're absolutely right. But another thing to add, Call of Duty is always consistently the best-selling game of the year, or one of the top 2, if like a Grand Theft Auto comes out. So it's always a super high-selling game. But I think this one got a little bit of a boost from it came out on previous consoles and it came out on next gen. Like, that's my guess. But to make it in the top 20 of all time is like incredible to me. I don't know. You've had games that have been out for 20 years at this point that are, and it's up there. So good for them. Like you said, I bought it. I've been enjoying this one just because I don't really buy them every year, so I don't get to see that like small, increase. But yeah,
it's weird. It's interesting.
yeah,
I feel like I don't know. I don't get it, yo. I feel like maybe it would make sense more for the previous one, the Call of Duty Modern Warfare remake that they did. That was better critically received, and again, it brought him back to the more grounded, no double jump stuff. For this one, I don't know, but that's interesting. We're going to move on to news item number 8. Konami revives 6 Days in Fallujah. So, for those that may not be aware, because it's a bit of a long story, this is a 12-year story in the making, right? 6 Days in Fallujah was originally going to be a tactical first-person shooter that's centered on the conflict in Fallujah, which happened in the Iraq War around 2004. It was one of the bloodiest, deadliest battles in U.S. history in regards to the amount of troops we lost and the thousands and thousands of Iraqi citizens that also lost their lives during this whole siege or assault on the city, essentially. Because of the objections that were raised by service members and service members' families who, had people that died in the conflict, they canceled it. They said, okay, we're not going to do this. They've since decided out of the freaking blue that they're going to, hey, we might as well, let's do this again. But the thing is, the interesting thing that Cory pointed out, reading the producer or the the person that's one of the people that's over development, is that the game is going to try to steer clear of any kind of political commentary or controversy. And that sounds to me really stupid because your game is based upon a conflict that was caused by politics and by political discourse and actions, right? That's the whole reason this thing exists. It's the whole reason. And you're using it as the source for your game. If you want to do, I don't know, some kind of homage to the people that served, I don't know. I don't see how you can do it without this stuff. So that confuses me. This game coming back confuses me. I remember when it was announced, right? I was excited about it because super history nerd back then. And so now that it comes out, I'm like, what? Why? What is this? What is this for? So there you go. Konami, of all companies, are definitely that's definitely the company that I want handling this too. Guys, what is your takeaway from this?
I don't know anything about it personally, but yeah, to have that kind of game to try to not be political, it doesn't seem like that's just it's not gonna add up well.
Right.
My best guess is, from doing a little bit of reading, that the game was actually pretty close to done, or it was like deep in development when they did cancel it.
Yeah.
So they have this game that they obviously spent money into making. It had controversy, so now, hey, bring it back. We get a lot of buzz from bringing this back. It was already pretty much done. Let's just throw it out there. It's been long enough. People won't care. But yeah, real weird.
Yeah, I mean they're remaking it, right? It's 12 years after the development was canceled. You have to figure that they're using entirely new engines and that whole thing that's happening there. Like, I don't get the end game, I guess.
Right.
But we will see. And again, Konami, whatever. News item number 9: MLB The Show is coming to Xbox. Guys, any thoughts on this?
So yes, this game is like a PlayStation exclusive that's being put on the Xbox. That's what I'm getting the sense of.
Right.
Yes.
I think that's a cool idea, but the things that consoles have is exclusives. So I don't know. I think it's cool though. I'm a little weary of it. I don't know. That's my thought.
I think it was a forced idea. Now, the people San Diego Studios, I think, makes the show. They've been doing a great job. They make a great baseball game. Obviously, they're owned by Sony, so they make it only for Sony. I have to believe that the MLB came and said, listen, you can keep this franchise and keep making it yourself, but it has to go on Xbox because we're losing too much money by not having it on this other really, really big console. So it was up to Sony to say, hey, we lose exclusivity rights, to baseball, or we put it on the Xbox. And they took the one that'll make them more money.
You think that was directed by MLB?
I would think so. Yeah. I mean, I think it was probably maybe their contract was up and MLB was like, hey, if you want the contract back so your studio can exclusively make baseball games, it has to go on the Xbox.
Now, I didn't hear any talks about contract stuff.
Right.
But here's what I will say. So I think this is a Sony idea, and I think it is bleeping brilliant. And the reason I say this is because I love playing baseball sim games, and the last baseball simulation game you could play was MLB 2K13. So it's been 8 years since a baseball simulation game has been on the Xbox platform.
Right.
Through that whole time, MLB The Show is one of the best-selling PlayStation exclusive titles. It's gotten better and better and better every year. So then PlayStation says, look, we could probably double if triple our money if we just take this game and show people want to know, we're so against crossplay and want to collaborate. Let's just throw our baseball game on there because it's not, MLB The Show isn't a, let's say, avatar or spokesperson for the PlayStation brand. Right? When people think about Sony, they're not thinking about MLB The Show. You've got all these baseball fans that have Xboxes that haven't had a game. We have no competition on this platform. We have no competition on any platform when it comes to simulation baseball. So we're going to get people on the PlayStation anyway. I know for a fact one of the games I bought my PlayStation 4 for was MLB The Show because I didn't have a baseball game on my Xbox.
And here's the thing. That's the key. You bought a PlayStation 4 to play that game. So it doesn't really make sense to me that they would say, listen, we have these people that are really into baseball, and now we're going to give it to them to a console that they already have so they don't have to buy our console. MLB The Show is just another game where when you buy a PlayStation, you have access to that. So Sony's not that nice.
But
I know they care about money, but yeah. I don't see them willingly saying, hey, let's throw it on Xbox, because a couple of those people, like you've already mentioned, you bought a PlayStation, and I can guarantee there's probably hundreds or thousands of people that have done that.
Yeah, but for baseball, like I did that for the rest of us.
Jeremy just said he did it.
Yeah. I could believe
that
100
was one
people.
of the reasons. That was one of the reasons.
I understand.
If I'm a household that's a one console household and I happen to get an Xbox because the PlayStation is harder already to get, and then I want to play a baseball game, okay, well then I have this option. And to me, it's whether people decide to get a PlayStation or not, it's going to be much more contingent upon something like a God of War or a Horizon than it is going to be a baseball game. Baseball is a dying sport already.
Right.
So there's not going to be a lot of people that are going to be saying, "Oh, hey, I'm going to go ahead and plunk down $400 or $500 so I can get this MLB show when I have an Xbox Series X or Series S in my cart already." That's going to be the console I usually have. Okay, now I can have MLB The Show as well. And instead of PlayStation relying on their own install base to sell copies, they can capitalize on the install base of any platform to sell copies.
I get what you're saying. I just don't think Sony is that nice, and they are very greedy. And even though they're making money that way, they always think about themselves first and foremost. And I think that's selling consoles. But I understand what you're saying.
So it's interesting though, and I'm very happy to see MLB Show on the Xbox.
Yes, I want to say kudos to Xbox finally getting a baseball game. Like that's awesome.
There you go.
For fans of Xbox.
After 8 years.
That's the key takeaway. Xbox, you have a great baseball game coming to you.
Yes.
Another takeaway is I didn't think we'd debate so much over a baseball game.
Right. This was our longest story part.
It's because it's important.
Yes.
News item number 10. Nintendo had their Direct. And one of the things they announced, which Cory go into more, is that they're doing remaster of Skyward Sword?
Yes.
Which you call the
Well, I think it's well known as the worst 3D Zelda game for sure.
Right.
On one of the worst Nintendo consoles. So, the Nintendo Direct
Never let it down.
the Nintendo Direct was a little hit or miss for me. They had a ton of announcements, a ton. And like the thing about directs that we had mentioned previously, if those things really speak to you, you think it's a great direct. If they don't, you think it's a bad direct. For me, it was just they didn't speak to me so much. The Smash Bros. Character was revealed. It is Pyra and Mithril from Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which I haven't played, so that's not exciting. Like I said, Skyward Sword HD. I'm more of a Wind Waker fan. I was hoping they would do a sort of collection like they did with the Mario Bros. Games, because it is, I believe, the 30th anniversary or 35th anniversary for Zelda. So that would have been cool if they would have packaged a few. But there were some cool announcements. Square Enix announced Project Triangle Strategy, which looks 100% like Final Fantasy Tactics, which I'm a big fan of. Splatoon 3 was announced. A new Mario Golf was announced. So there was some announcements. If you watch this, you found something that you would like and be excited about.
The Mario Golf sounds pretty rad.
I do like Mario sports
that caught
games.
my fancy.
I do like Mario sports games. Tennis Aces was a fantastic tennis game.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Good tennis games too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that ends our morning announcements. I'm pretty sure that I said something sounded or is interesting about 15 times, but that is because we have a lot of interesting stuff.
Right. We're interesting people.
We are interesting people. But that is going to move us on to our next interesting segment.
Oh,
which is the
interesting.
Roundtable. Yeah. And in the Roundtable, we take a interesting topic of discussion.
Just stop.
Okay. And we talk about it.
Oh my God.
Have a little debate. And so in the previous level, we talked about what we believe to be the best game weapons. Well, you guys already know we're yinging and yanging it. Where there's a good, there's a bad. So we're here to talk about what we believe to be, from our personal experience, the worst game weapons. And we have the same three categories of a melee weapon, a gun/ranged weapon, and a wild card. Again, I'm going to leave it up. I'm going to put this out there. Who would like to go first? You want to do same order as before?
Same order, if that's okay with David.
Sure.
Okay. That leaves you up first.
Then you're up.
Yeah. Exciting news, guys. All right. So starting with the melee, right?
Yes.
All right. So based on my gaming experiences, I have decided to go with the knife in Resident Evil. I get people can do gameplay throughs with just knives and stuff like that, but I've never been good with it. I always still get attacked. It might just be me being bad at that part of the game, but it does nothing for me. Like just give me another 10 bullets or something, or let me just run away. The knife is literally useless for me. I might as well just punch him.
Right. Okay.
Or, come on.
Yeah, right.
That's my melee.
Right.
All right. I believe I am next.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to talk about a game called The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, a classic, widely regarded as maybe the best game of all time. There's a weapon in that game called the Giant's Knife. Now, you meet this fella, this Goron, who is making this weapon for you, and he says, hey, come back in 6 or 7 years and I'll have something really cool for you. So you're like, 6 or 7 years? It takes you that long to make it? This is going to be fabulous. You're all excited. So you do the whole time travel thing and you go back to him and he gives you this larger than life sword. Like, you need to two-hand the sword. So which means you don't have your shield, which is kind of a downfall, but like, it's a huge sword. Obviously it's just amazing. So it costs 200 rupees, which you can only hold 500 in the game. So it's a big chunk of your economy that you hold. And the thing is twice as strong as the Master Sword. That's a great weapon. It breaks after 8 hits. And then it becomes 1/4 of the Master Sword. So you get 8 hits with this sword that has been its legend has grown over 7 years. And then you get it and you can't use your shield and it breaks and you can go back but then you got to pay another 200 rupees. So this guy is just ripping you off. It is not worth it. It doesn't even look that cool, in my opinion. So the Giant's Knife is the worst melee weapon in all of gaming. Just terrible.
I've heard of it.
That Goron's a moron if he thinks he's getting my rupees.
Ayo.
Woo.
Yeah, there we go. So yeah, mine's I'm gonna have to do a 1B or a second plan number 2, because my first one was the knife in any Resident Evil. It is a god awful weapon. It's absolutely useless. It doesn't seem to be that effective at all. It's a thing you can do in them. But that's it. So I will go with plan number 2, which is the stick from the original Fable. Now, when you're given this stick, you're given it as a child, and you have to use it to fight these things. But I mean, this stick can't even really defeat ladybugs. You got to constantly whack these ladybugs with this stick in order to kill them and put them down. I mean, last time I checked, you can kill ladybugs with your hand. I would say you shouldn't kill ladybugs at all. But
what you should do is you should blow them off your hand into the wind and make a wish. That's
just gonna let that sit there.
That's a thing. That's you go on.
Okay. And so yes, the stick from Fable is absolutely the worst melee weapon. It does almost no damage. And it doesn't even look that cool, obviously, because it's a stick. So that is it for the melee weapons. We're going to now move on, and I'm very eager to hear you guys' choices for gun/range. What is the worst gun or ranged game weapon?
Okay. You're probably not going to be so interested in mine, but playing a lot of Call of Duties until up in recent, one gun that was in a few of them and it was just god awful was the mini Uzis. I don't know. I just remember them. I just didn't want to use it ever. Like, I hated trying to get the challenges done in Call of Duty 4, and I bad experiences, bad gun. Period.
I believe one of the saddest moments in gaming is when you have a really, really cool sci-fi looking gun and it ends up being trash. And to me, in Halo Combat Evolved, there is one such gun. And it's like the coolest looking gun in Halo, in my opinion. I want to talk about the Needler.
Yeah.
In Halo 1, you see this gun that it's purple and it has all these spikes out of it. And you shoot it and the spikes kind of home onto your enemy and they hit them and they stick in them for like a second or, a half a second, and then they explode. And like, it should be like this, like, rejoice, like, this is awesome. But you shoot the entire clip into him and it explodes and he's still coming at you. Because the Needler is not a strong weapon. It is not a good weapon. No. It looks cool, but it is outclassed by nearly everything in that game. I would think everything. The pistol in that game is OP. So there's really never a point to get the Needler. It looks awesome, though. It's so sad. I believe they made it stronger in other games. I do pick it up from time to time to have fun with it. But man, the disappointment you felt when you got that Needler in Halo 1 multiplayer or just single player, nothing like it. Terrible.
Yeah, what's that in Halo 3?
I mean, it's in every Halo.
Yeah.
Okay, because I remember it looking cool and it not doing much.
It's terrible, and it's like really one of the coolest looking sci-fi guns.
It's actually quite iconic, actually.
Yeah.
Like, nothing looks like the Needler. Yeah.
Like, it's iconic for two reasons. It's iconic because it looks cool, and it's iconic because it's so bad.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It yin and yanged itself.
That's right.
Exactly. So my gun range for this is going to be the Chinese pistol in Fallout 3. And the reason for that is because, when Fallout 3, you're this baby and then you grow up to become this teen and you have this weird birthday party and then your father runs away and then you got to go find him. And so one of the weapons you have that he gives you at your birthday party is the BB gun. Now, I'm not going to rag on the BB gun because it's a BB gun. But the first real weapon you will probably get outside of your BB gun in Fallout 3 is the Chinese pistol. And you're thinking, oh, snaps, it's a pistol. It's Chinese. That means something, I guess. I don't know what it means, but it means something. And you're like, all right, let's go ahead and I'm getting attacked by a super mutant or some settler or someone else. Let me go ahead and dot them up with this Chinese pistol. And it does the weakest, smallest amount of damage possible. I remember vividly, there's like this little supermarket area that looks kind of empty. And there's a couple of people on the outside. And so you kill them. And I remember, all right, I'm about to put this Chinese pistol to use. And I go in there. It's probably about 5, 6 other people that you have to kill in there. And I get the Chinese pistol out. And I'm like, I'm about to spray the bleep out of these people. And I get owned immediately because this gun sucks. And I don't know why it's in the game at all. It's absolutely terrible. Way to be let down. Chinese pistol. Okay. That gets us to category number 3, which we call the wild card. Now, it can be absolutely anything. Okay, when we did best game weapons, David came with a surprise about the bioweapons and Nemesis and Mr. X, and that was awesome. Cory came up with a world-eating monster. That was his. Then, of course, I had the red shell from Mario Kart. So we're going to go with this next category. David, what do you have as your wild card?
Okay, so this is a love-hate relationship, and mostly a lot of people hate it. And it is from Overwatch, and it's from the evil lady, Mei. It's her alt. Because you get frozen, you're just standing there watching the enemy just melt you down. You can't do anything. Mm-hmm. And then if you're using it, and you just throw it wrong at all, it misses your target completely, and it's just useless. You sit there building it up for 10 minutes to do nothing with it. Mm-hmm. So while I do love playing Mei and doing that to my enemies, I hate it when it's done to me. That's my wild card.
That's a good pick. That's very good.
I remember a couple of Mei encounters that I hated. So yeah.
Okay, so for my wild card, I don't know if I cheated a little bit, but I feel like I picked more of a gadget than a weapon. But I want to talk about the invisibility cloak or the cloaking device in Super Smash Bros. Melee. Now, usually invisibility is like top of the line. Like when you get that, you feel amazing. Now, no one can touch you. No one can see you. In Smash Bros., a game where you're playing against other people and the goal is to not fall off the stage and it's to hit other people and you can't see yourself, it makes it as much of a weapon for your opponent as it does for you. Because when you turn invisible, there's no outline of your character. There's no like little like squiggles where you are. Like you literally just can't see. And like I said, you can't fall off the arena and you're trying to hit your opponent. So it's like a 45-second standstill where it's like, well, I just gotta wait till I reappear because what am I supposed to do here? So the cloaking device is it's a terrible item, a terrible weapon. Do not recommend.
Mm-hmm. I don't think that's fair game.
It's a very good choice.
Thank you.
So mine, again, I was inspired a bit by David's last level choice of the bioweapons. And so you guys got to hear me out here. But my I believe to be worse wild card game weapon. But when I say it, you guys are going to agree.
Okay.
It is Magikarp from any Pokemon. Okay. Now hear me out, right? So if you guys don't know, you catch a Magikarp, you got to go fishing with a fishing rod. And you catch a Magikarp. Now, Magikarp usually level 3, level 5. And you have to proceed over the next, 15 to 20 levels to have this Pokemon in your 6 and his only move is Splash. What the hell is this? He can
Garbage.
splash. That's it. He eventually learns Tackle before he becomes a Gyarados. But look, I'm not talking about Gyarados. I'm talking about Magikarp. And for me to be going and fighting these different trainers and trying to level everyone up, for me to have a Pokemon in my 6 that I know right off rip, gonna die. I put him in anything, gonna die. I put him up against a Caterpillar, gonna die. A Pidgey, gonna die. Because all he can do is bleep and splash. Okay? It is the worst game weapon. I mean, a Metapod can at least harden. You can at least draw out a battle. Magikarp can just splash and look incredibly stupid doing it. That's
facts.
Yes. Worst game weapon.
If I can follow up with one question real quick.
Yeah.
What type of Pokemon is Magikarp?
It's a fish. He's a water Pokemon.
Water. Ah, gotcha. Makes sense.
Yeah, okay. You're trying to hit him with that. How many other water type Pokemon are there? Squirtle at least had Bubble. That did damage.
Yep.
It fits Jeremy's profile.
Yep. You had Lapras, a bunch of other ones. I see where you're going with it, right?
So you have one water friend. Cool, bro.
There's multiple water Pokemon in the world of Pokemon.
You don't have to convince me, okay?
Okay.
Side note with the Magikarp. Have you guys ever seen that animation when it's just two Magikarps attacking each other? Magikarp, use splash attack. That's not a real splash attack. Magikarp, show him a splash attack. It's like, I recommend searching for it, guys, if you've never heard or watched it. It's so funny.
That's my wild card weapon. So guys,
I wholeheartedly agree.
It's a great weapon.
I
agree. It's a great pick.
Thank you. So let us know if you agree with us or if you have any of your own worst game weapons you've encountered. Let us know. But we're going to move on to the quick fire segment where we talk about one or two games you've been playing. We want to highlight those. So quick fire. I'll go really quick. My first game that I want to highlight is Monster Sanctuary. Cory mentioned it, I believe, either on the last level or the one before that you had played some of it. I have been playing it. I believe I've gotten further than you based on our conversations.
Oh.
So, because I've been playing it, right?
Oh.
I wasn't playing it to say, oh, look at me. I'm playing some really cool, not known of indie game. I'm playing it, right? So I've got about maybe close to 10 hours in it. And I enjoy it. Speaking of Pokemon, it's like a Pokemon game. It's a monster catcher game. The way that the moves and everything is set out and how you're able to develop your monster skill tree is awesome. Pokemon absolutely should incorporate that into their gameplay design. Listen to Cory and update your freaking game design. All right. Besides that, the other game I've been playing is Forza Horizon. Getting into that, really loving that game. I like what they did with the whole Horizon Festival angle that they took on it. Obviously, you have your drivatars, so your friends, if they've played the game, they have their cars that emulate kind of how they drive if they've been playing a game. I will say, Cory, you don't know this. I have been absolutely schooling your ass.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Forza Horizon for drivatar, right? I don't know how you drive in that game. It's terrible. All right.
No. Listen. I wasn't gonna mention this, but I downloaded Forza Horizon 4 just to see how the graphics were and how it ran. And I played one race, and you were in that race, and you came in last place. And I wasn't gonna bring it up. I was gonna be the nice guy, but now that you've mentioned that I suck, you suck, buddy.
Well, guess what? When you played it, I didn't even have it yet. So it obviously didn't know what it was talking about. You walk in there now, I'm crushing everyone, literally, because I did a lot of crashing. So that is it.
Oh my God.
That's it for me. Who wants to do the quick fire next?
I'll go. I've been playing a lot of the new Mario game that came out, 3D World, right?
Yeah.
The remake of the Wii U one.
Yep.
My son he loves the game, so we're on the last world now. So that's been pretty fun.
Wow.
But, so you have character select, right? I picked Peach, and he's like, let's do random. I'm like, stop it at every level. I'm like, just let me beat Peach. But we still beat the levels. It's all right. And then of course I've been playing a lot of Apex, trying to grind out my battle pass. That's been ups and downs, but that's the usual in a battle royale. That's my quick fire.
Have you tried Bowser's Fury yet? Like the little side mode that came with it.
I have not. I don't know if he has or not.
Okay. Just looking to see how that is. I'm debating whether I should get it or not. So but yeah, my quick fire time. Now, I was Jeremy, the wasn't worth it this week is the Falconeer, which he asked me to play. I started playing it. I did not like it. Spoiler alert. So I went and bought Vanquish from Platinum Games. It's an older game. It's a third-person action game. It's a little dated in the controls, like the cover aspect and the rolling. They use separate buttons for it when now most games are like kind of automatic. So I was having a lot of fun with that. But that really made me want to play Bayonetta, so I ended up buying Bayonetta. I've also been playing that. But what I really came to talk about is a aspect of gaming we have not touched on, and I blame both of you. But the market for mobile gaming is so huge, and I've come to spread the word about it. I have been playing a game called Mini Motorways, and it is just fabulous. It's a little street building game. You start a map on like a real city. They're based on like Los Angeles or Moscow, and they kind of use Google Maps. It has like pastel colors, but really pretty game, really basic. But you pretty much build a road from a house to a business, and that car in the house goes to the business, grabs something, and brings it back. And they're color coordinated, so you got to get the yellows to the yellows, the red to the red. And it starts off very easy. You have 20 tracts of land to place. And then you go through a week. And after a week, you get 20 more tracks. And then you get to pick an upgrade. You might get to pick a highway, a bridge, a tunnel to go through mountains. And you just keep playing until the traffic is so bad that these cars cannot reach their destination and satisfy the needs of these businesses. And I found it very, very compelling. Like I said, all you have to worry about is the road. The cars always take the optimal path, so you don't have to worry about any of that. So it's a very basic strategy game, but it has just a really neat mechanic to it where you're trying to get this high score, see how many deliveries you can really make. So it's on Apple Arcade right now, and it is coming to Steam, I believe, in May. So if you get a chance, check out Mini Motorways. I love it.
Okay. Are you done now?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, wow. So let's see. What is that? A month ago, I said, "Hey, should we talk about mobile gaming?" And you helped say, "No, I don't think we need to." So don't blame me and say it's my fault when I brought it up a month ago. That's it.
I don't think we have those recordings. Sorry.
It's all about evidence.
I'll try to find it. I'll try to find it. I'll try to help find it. Yeah.
Oh my God. German wants nothing to do but prove you wrong, and I love it.
That's right.
Ladies and gentlemen, chickens, ducks, and hens, that ends our quick fire segment. We're going to go to our mid-roll break, very special mid-roll break. And when we come back, we will be back with Was It Worth It? We are proud to announce that this level of the Thoughts and Players podcast is brought to you by Tifosi Gaming. Now look, I've realized that over the years, my gaming sessions have become shorter and shorter. Is part of that because I've become busier? Yes. Less talented? Probably not. But I also noticed I began experiencing more headaches and strain on my eyes. And if you're in the same boat, Tifosi is here with an excellent solution. Think about it. We're on our phones, TVs, and computers more now than we ever have. And all of these devices emit blue light. Tifosi gaming glasses reduce blue light exposure, combat dry eyes, and help you game in truer colors. Tifosi gaming glasses come in a variety of stylish designs and colors, or you can hop onto their website and design your own ultimate gaming eyewear. Check out Tifosi through our affiliate link in the show notes and description, or visit www.tifosioptics.com/gaming. That's it. And now, back to the show. And we are back with more thoughts and players. And we are moving briskly onto our favorite segment, your favorite segment, Was It Worth It? And Cory had mentioned it briefly earlier. And now is a segment of which we get to discuss this game. We're going to discuss the Falconeer, which was released last year around October, November, I believe. It was one of the games being touted as an Xbox exclusive because it was only on the Xbox. It's an indie game, but it did receive some press because of it, and it's very interesting. So we're going to talk about the Falconeer. Now we have our 5 categories: visuals, sound and music, story, technical aspects, and then of course the gameplay. So guys, let's kind of go in that order for a bit. So we've all had a chance to play this, which hasn't happened since Streets of Rage 4. So very momentous occasion. But we've all played this game. We're going to talk about the visuals now. David, give me your impressions of the visuals of this game.
Visually, I thought it was good graphics. Everything was easily. What is the word I'm looking for? I mean, you could easily tell what everything was, and the water looked good. The ships looked good. You know, you could see the enemies very easy in the air, even if there were like a bunch of clouds. There was like a target you could use. Graphically, I think it looks great.
Nice.
I liked it.
Nice. Cory, what were your impressions of the visuals?
I think it's very mobile-ish. I did not enjoy the graphics as much as David. I thought a lot of things had a very lack of detail. You know, the water looked fine. The sky looked fine. The character models I thought looked terrible. I do want to give a little bit of props, though, to like world design. We had been talking about this earlier, but they really did make sort of an interesting world because it's really just an ocean-based world with these small islands that populate it. And you see some scenes that you would never be able to see in real life. Like you see these 2 waterfalls converging. You see these giant monsters being hung up by hooks. The towns themselves are slightly interesting, but I'm not a fan of it. Everything has kind of a blue like hue over the entirety of the game, and it just wasn't enough variety for me. And like I said, the stuff that was there just looked okay. Nothing to write home about.
Gotcha. Visuals for me, I loved them. I dug them. Art style was super cool. There's like a kind of like a permanent dramatic element to the lighting that they use in the game, especially when you get into those thunderstorms and those happen and you have the lightning strikes, you know, charging up your weapon or your bird or anything like that. A lot of interesting different areas. There wasn't a major change in like any kind of biosphere because again, everything is like in an ocean, but some cities did look more different than others. There's a city that was closer to like the cold, so it had the snow mountain things. Some places that are warmer, so it has a bit of more of an arid feel. But yeah, I really enjoyed the visuals. You had mentioned like a lack of detail. I think that was deliberate with the artwork. So I mean, you know, in that regard, I dug it. I liked it a lot. Let's move on to item number 2, which is sound, music, voice acting, audio, all that stuff. David, let's go back to you. What were your impressions of the sound, the audio, the music, all that stuff?
Okay, so sound, it was good. You know, it was well done. The music, I honestly didn't notice. So if there was any, it fit the situations well, you know. And voice acting, I think it was minimal. I don't think it was that good. Especially there was a button that if you hit it, it just do a repeat of the voice cue over and over. And I have a habit of hitting that button, so I keep doing it, and it was really annoying. And it wasn't even the line wasn't even great. So sound good, voice acting meh, music it fits the mood if it was there because I don't remember.
Nice. Cory, what were your impressions?
Forgettable, 100%. I don't remember any of the sounds. I don't remember any of the music. I do remember the voice acting because I thought the voice acting was terrible. The characters sounded extremely corny. Maybe the accents fit well, but I don't know. I don't think the delivery was well done. There was one character I thought was decent, but for the most part, I thought it was a poor job. Overall with sound. I'm not, well, okay, I'll say this. I don't think maybe the music wasn't bad or the sound effects. Like I said, I just don't remember them. So I don't want to give it a high grade or a low grade, but voice acting, a low grade.
Right. Yeah, I would say for sound and music, they were there. They were serviceable. They did what they had to do. The voice acting was a bit odd, peculiar. For me, I liked it. Not that it was good. It was just interesting or peculiar and weird a little bit. I think it kind of fit this weird, interesting, stark, desperate fantasy world that's kind of being built in the game. So it felt like it belonged, as well as like the music. When you're encountering the other Falconeers, the music intensifies and it hits those notes where it's supposed to. But I mean, besides that, it's not anything to really rave about. They were there. They were, I would say, serviceable in all aspects, really, for me. But not much more. So let's move to story. And Cory, you want to take this one? So what were your impressions of the story of the game?
All right, I'll be honest. When I was doing my quick fire, I told you I went from Falconeer very quickly to Vanquish. So I did not get that far into the story before I kind of gave up on the game. But what was there was at least intriguing. It looked like very much a story of like this power struggle between, I guess maybe countries or cities, whatever those kind of colonies are. But it had like a nice little push and pull, get on this person's good side. But when you do that, it gets on this person's bad side. Had I played it longer, I think that might have been the high point for me, but I really can't comment too much on it.
Okay. David, what about you?
I think if they have a good baseline for a good story, as Cory, I didn't play it a lot as well. I played like an hour and a half, 2 hours long, and just flying around and fighting the bad guys and doing tasks for some colony people. I think it's a great concept, but at one point the story was so boring I quit. So I think they could have done better with what they started with, because I did like the concept of what the game was before I played it.
So I will say that if we were going to combine kind of like story and lore, I think this game is one of the more interesting takes on story and lore. So you have these different cities that are kind of overseen by different houses. So if you think of, I'm going to make like a Morrowind reference, but if you think about some of the different houses, like a house of Redoran and a house of Hlalu that were within Morrowind, right? You have these different houses that are usually set up by certain families, certain executives, administrators, and they have different things they do. And so you have to deal with all these different houses struggling to not only dominate. In the case of the first city, it is trying to survive, actually. And so you have these different houses combating. There's politics and different things that play out with it, and it was really, really interesting. So I give them kudos for that, because I think if they possibly come up with a second one and they can dive a bit deeper into the story, I'll kind of agree that maybe the pacing could be better, right? We kind of talked before about how the Medium had an issue with pacing, and I think this also has the issue as well. The pacing in the beginning of the story is a little bit slow, but when you get there, it gets really, really interesting. So, story, I have to give them a thumbs up on that. But let's move on to the technical aspect of the game. I'll go really quick because I didn't experience any technical issues. I played it on the Series X. That's what I played it on, so no technical issues on my end. Cory, did you experience any technical issues on your end?
Nope, everything ran pretty well. Same thing, Series X.
Okay. David, how about you?
Technically, everything went well, but the controls, I don't play on controller. I play mouse and keyboard. The options they had were not very good. I had a lot of trouble trying to figure out the aiming and the controls. Eventually, I found a set that worked well enough, but it was not favorable. But that was it. Everything else, it ran smooth. I had no issues besides that.
Okay. So then that leads us to the last category, usually the most conversation heavy one, which is the gameplay. It's a game, you got to play it. And then like our previous one, this one actually has gameplay in it. So let's see here. Well, since you kind of, David, I want to continue with you because you were talking about you're using the keyboard and mouse combo.
Yep.
And so I think that's different from how me and Cory played it. So the gameplay, how was the gameplay for you in it?
It wasn't that great. Just trying to shoot stuff in the air while you're moving with controls that aren't great made it very hard to play the game. But I didn't let that get in the way of trying to grade this game. But eventually, I beat like the first level or whatever, and then the next level you're like following this ship to like help bring it to another area. It was so boring. You just literally flew around for 15 minutes just to be bombarded by a bunch of enemies to die. And that's where I quit. Like, there's no way I'm going to replay another 15 minutes of flying around just to maybe beat these guys again. And then if I died and had to do it again, like, that was where the pacing was really bad for me, and where I think they could change something, like throw an enemy here, throw an enemy there, 2 enemies now. But yeah, the gameplay, it did not sit well.
Cory, how about you? How was the gameplay for you?
Yeah, I think when you're looking at like an aerial combat game, which this game is, you're looking for like really a dynamic kind of gameplay, and I really didn't get that at all. It really felt simplified, with only a couple really basic moves, and the rest is kind of just circling around your enemy and hoping you're a little faster so you can get behind him before he gets behind you. Because like David said, they come quick and they knock you out, and then you got to restart missions. And a few of those missions were escort this ship for 5 to 10 minutes, get a little bit of lore, which is interesting the first time, not the second. So while you're escorting, you just feel like, yes, the gameplay is very boring. And when you get into a fight, it picks up. But like I said, there wasn't enough there to make me feel like I was in complete control of like, hey, if I play well enough, I can I can win this mission. It just felt a little random on my part, but it wasn't the worst combat. There's some things you can do in the game with upgrades to the speed of your Falcon and different weapon types, which are okay. It did help the game, but moment-to-moment gameplay, I did not enjoy. I found it boring as well.
Nice. So,
yeah, I guess.
Nice. I mean, nice. That was it. I guess. Let's see. Gameplay. Yeah, I would probably echo most of what you guys said. The pacing for the gameplay is probably the worst part of the game for me. It just, again, you have these escort missions that take a long time, and I don't understand why they're taking so long. And it seems like if you want to have these more kind of grandiose, larger missions, you have to have more stages to keep the player's interest, right? The flying around was okay, but kind of weird. My bird got tired all the bleeping time, and it's a bird. I don't know how that happens.
Right.
I was having an issue with, I don't know if it's anatomically correct for a bird to hover. I don't know if birds can hover, but I feel like I desperately needed my bird to hover at some instances, and you can't do that. There was one instance where if you push a button to dive to retrieve a mine or something, if you're flying low enough, your bird just dives. And it's like, well, what the hell just happened, right? So there were some instances of that where it's like, okay, that's weird. As far as being able to, all the upgrades you can apply to your bird, there's different levels, different tiers. So a tier 1 or tier 2 juice makes your bird faster or something like that. One thing I didn't like is that once you complete the campaign for a certain city or whatever, you go to another one. And the Falconeer you are in that one, it may look the same, but it's not the same Falconeer. So you don't get to travel this whole intricate journey with the person. It's more so a journey with the politics and the lore of the world, which is something that I didn't really like too much because I'm upgrading my bird or I'm upgrading my guy's gun. So I like to be able to hold on to those things. And I don't get to hold on to them when I go to the next city. So that was something else that I didn't really like. As far as the combat and all that stuff, you're right. You're flying in circles until you can clip someone down. I feel like that's most aerial combat. Is usually kind of that, unless you're playing something like a super old Panzer Dragoon or something. Usually it's just circle around, shoot down, and so it does that. I thought that the mechanic of recharging your gun or your weapon in thunderstorms is cool. I thought being able to ride whirlpools or wind streams and stuff was pretty cool. Those are nice little cool elements they added in. But yeah, when you're flying a ship for 5 minutes and then you get into a situation and then you got to fly someplace else that's 5 minutes, it starts to drag.
Yeah.
That's definitely, to me, the worst part of the game. Which brings us to the end of our Was It Worth It? We've talked about this. And of course, was it worth it? Is it worth it? Now, this game usually retails at its release, it retailed for $29.99. It usually retails a little bit between $20 and $30 now. And it is on Xbox Game Pass currently. And I believe, like I said, I think it is only an Xbox exclusive at the moment. So guys, you've had a chance to play this game. Let's start with you, David. This game, is it worth it?
Overall, not worth it. But if this is your niche kind of game, aerial fighter, and you like, ship lore, stuff like that, you might want to try it. But I wouldn't recommend it, honestly. And I know we all said it goes 0 to 100 in a bad way. And I just want to mention, I mentioned that in Phasmophobia, it goes from 0 to 100, and that didn't lose my interest for the game. So I think they just did the 0 to 100 very poorly. But yeah, I don't think it's worth it.
Cory, what about you?
Yeah, last of really ripped the medium. Very disappointed by that game. Picking this game up and playing within the first hour, I knew it wasn't going to be worth it for myself. It's a very quirky game. I wouldn't say it's my type of game that I normally play. So yes, it's not worth it for me. But if you do like this kind of politics and you do enjoy air combat, you might get some enjoyment out of this game. It's definitely not my type of game. So if you tend to lean on the type of games that I play, I would say avoid it. But if you're a different type of gamer, give it a look, give the trailers a look, and see what it's like for you.
I so want this game to be worth it. I so want it to be. Because it's an earnest attempt by a single developer to create a very interesting game with really interesting politics and lore. Why can't this game be $10 cheaper? Why can't it?
It will be eventually.
Because at its current thing right now of it retailing for $30, we're taking that to account, it's not worth it. If this thing was 20, I'd probably lean more towards yeah. Because I think the time, it's usually about a 10 to 12 hour time investment in the campaign. There's a lot of things there that give it value, but not $30 worth of value to me when you can go get other games. Some of them even AAA now that are discounted that you could spend $30 on and get, a much more refined experience. It's on Xbox Game Pass. Did you give it a try there? You think people should maybe give it a try there? I would recommend, if I can recommend you give a spin to the medium, I can definitely recommend you give this a spin. just because this game is going to probably be have much more of a mainstream appeal than something like the medium would, at least to me. I think aerial combat, creatures, interesting world stuff, maybe a little bit more reach in psychological horror, but I could be wrong. But yeah, if you're Game Pass in it, I say definitely give it a try. You're going to have to push through that first hour, like Cory said, because the pacing's a little off. But yeah.
All right.
That is it for Was It Worth It? And we move on to the next segment where we talk about some popular opinions and how they may be popular. People may think they're right, but actually they're bleeping stupid. And so we're going to go into but actually. Now, who would like to go first with their but actually choice?
I can go first real quick.
All right, let's hear it.
All right, so the 3D Mario games, Super Mario Galaxy 1, Super Mario Galaxy 2, and Super Mario Odyssey, those three specifically, they're all rated in the top 20 of Metacritic of all time. So 3 of the top 20 games of all time, Galaxy 1 and 2, I think, are 7 and 8, and Odyssey number 20. Just games that are close to perfection. But actually, I don't think they deserve to be that highly rated. Now, Mario games, specifically the 3D ones, they're fun. They're good. You know, they always score 10s, they get 9s, they're always high on Metacritic, some of the best games of the generation. And they are fun, but at the core of it, they're a simple platformer. You take a game like Red Dead, which I don't even like, and you see the story that's put into this game. You see the voice acting, you see the different mechanics, the combat, everything that goes into this game, the cities and how people interact. Like, that is a masterpiece of game design. Mario, while they are fun, it's simple platforming. There's no story that goes into the game. So yes, you can have fun with this game, and they do deserve high scores. But when I'm looking at the greatest games of all time, I don't necessarily want a Galaxy 1 or 2 or an Odyssey to be up there. When you see games like even Morrowind, I know that's probably not highly rated, but the things that are in that game, or like in Oblivion, I think that way outshines any of the 3D Marios. So to me, Mario games, while good, they get too much praise. Sorry, Mario fans.
Right. Also,
Wow.
Morrowind is extremely highly rated.
I don't
think Nintendo guy.
I don't think Metacritic wise, I don't think it's in the top 20, right?
I see what you're saying.
I'm saying that I would put something like that above any of those 3 Marios, just
like
for
a Mario
everything.
Odyssey or something.
Yeah, everything that it does. Yeah, some of the stuff is a little janky, but I mean, man, everything in that game, it's just like, this is a better designed game.
Morrowind is incredibly jank, but I do.
It's incredibly jank, but there's so much in it. You know, they put so much, and it almost always works. Mostly works.
Right.
You know, Mario games are just very well. There's no glitches. There's no bugs. You know, it's colorful. It's fun. It's a family game, but I don't know. We've matured past that. You know, I don't know. You got the God of Wars, the Red Deads. They're not in the same class.
You need something for the kiddies, though.
True, but you know, I don't want them in my top 20 of all time. I don't want to see a top 100 list and see Galaxy as the number 1 game of all time.
Right. I got you. Yeah. It's nice.
Yeah.
It made sense.
Yeah. Makes sense. David, what is your but actually?
All right. So, you guys.
Yeah.
You.
Yeah.
Two specifically, the audience. We all know I love Resident Evil. I'd live there if I could. All right. And I've seen on the Resident Evil page, the people are just commenting, you know, remake this. Is Resident Evil 6, okay? I love the series. Resident Evil games are like one of the greatest games, but actually Resident Evil 6 is god awful. Okay? I didn't even finish this game. I played like 2-3 campaigns and I just stopped. What you want to see in games is, oh, you know what? I wonder what they were doing in their perspective, you know? Like Resident Evil 2, that was a great concept of a game. You played Leon, and then you played Claire. And they kind of brought that back in Resident Evil 6. You played Leon, you played Jake, you played so-and-so else. I don't even remember because I didn't care for this game at all. It made it really boring. The immersion into the game just was not well done. I don't know how this game did as good as it did, even if it did well at all. I don't even know, because it's bad. I just don't think about it. Because like 7 came along, sure, I didn't play it until 3 years after it came out, but I sat there and beat that game in one sitting. I was immersed into the game. I loved it. I was addicted to it as soon as I started playing it. Great game. So I don't know how they went from 5 which I also played and beat numerous times, to 6 that I want nothing to do with, to 7, another great game. So I love Resident Evil, but actually 6 is terrible, and that's my take.
Okay. I've got a nice spicy, but actually, and almost within the same genre as the Resident Evil. Now I know there's 2 games in this franchise, and they're both highly esteemed, critically acclaimed,
Oh God,
best-selling. But actually,
yep.
The Last of Us,
yep,
are very good games at best. Okay, and the reason for this is very simple. Okay, one, what video game mechanics, approaches, design did it actually create or innovate upon? Now, I'll give you a second before I let you know the answer. It's none of them. When you look at the first one, what is the first one known for? Excellent story, brilliant story. I even say myself, an extremely well-written story. One of the best well-written zombie stories I've ever heard. But guess what it is? A zombie story. Okay? You shouldn't have people, I don't know, freaking losing their minds over a typical zombie story. Yeah, I know. In the beginning, you have the emotional scene with Joel when his daughter's dying, and it's like, oh my God, you lose somebody. Yeah, we've seen that in a bunch of games. Is it heartfelt? Yes. Does it tug at the heartstrings? Yes, it does. You know what else tugs at the heartstring? When I'm scrolling through TikTok and I see a dog playing with another dog in the snow. Okay? You don't get credit just for that. If we go to the second story and the second game and the cluster bleep of a story that had, where you're showing this person and this happens, and so you're giving this person's angle, and this person actually has a redemption story, but not really, because the other person is now mad and wants vengeance on what the other person did. What is going on? What mechanics did it improve on? None. It had its stealth. Was the stealth different? It was just as bad as the first one. There was no innovation there. Nothing happened there. Did it look nice? It had great graphic fidelity. I'm sorry, we're in a post Red Dead Redemption 2 world. So congrats. It's absolutely ridiculous. Now, are these games bad? No. Did Last of Us 2 deserve to get review bombed? No. There's a bunch of weirdos doing that. Okay. But did it deserve to get 19 out of 23 game of the year, blah, 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 whatever? No, it absolutely did not. Both these games are maybe very good. You might even possibly say that the first one is great, maybe. But besides that, these are a couple of 7.5, 8 games that are being treated like a couple of dime pieces. And guess what? They are not. Okay? Okay. That's what I got to say about that.
Rant so wrong for so long.
Very good comeback. I really appreciate that.
I also disagree with you. While they didn't innovate, I feel like they took the gameplay and they made it as clean as possible. It made it as clean as possible. It's one of the finest third-person shooters.
Made it as clean as possible.
Like, it's just a very well-made game. You don't have to innovate to be one of the best games.
Yeah, it is a well-made game. Well-made games aren't masterpieces. You know what masterpieces are? Masterpieces, right?
Yeah. Well,
you can paint. It doesn't mean that you created a Dali equivalent, right? You could have just made a good painting.
All right. Well, I disagree with you.
Okay. Well, chalk that up as as number 67 on things you've been wrong with in this podcast so far.
That's not too bad.
Yeah,
it's only like 3 an episode.
So we move on from that and my obvious brilliance, and we're moving on to a new game segment. Now, this segment is once again the brainchild of the guy you heard just be wrong again, Cory. So we're going to pass it over to him as he introduces us to this new segment.
Gamer League Rude.
Wow, Gamer League Rude.
I didn't come up with that name.
You didn't?
No, I did not. But I'm excited to play it nonetheless. And we actually have a special guest with us today.
Really?
Yes. The Steve Harvey.
Oh my God.
Yes. Steve,
wow.
Would you like to say a couple words?
Oh wow.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Steve.
wow.
Wow.
Thanks. All right.
Appreciate
so,
it.
This is
Looking forward to
actually this is a riff on Family Feud, of course. So what I have for you guys is I have a list of 10 things, and you're gonna do Family Feud style, where you've got to guess the list. You know, we're adjusting a little bit. One of you gets to ding in, and the other person gets to go afterwards. But we're gonna try to get all 10. Whoever gets the most out of the 10 is the winner.
Okay.
So let's just jump into this. Now, we've heard a lot of news lately about The Last of Us 2 casting. We've heard a lot of Borderlands news casting with Jack Black and a couple other things. So I kind of wanted to go into the video game movie realm.
Nice.
I want on the board the top 10 grossing video game movies.
Ooh.
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 So there's 10 of them on the list. When you guys are ready, who would like to go first?
Being me.
All right, David.
All
Sorry,
right.
Jeremy, you're too slow.
One of them has got to be Mortal Kombat.
Unbelievable.
Is that what you're gonna say?
Steve, can you take it away?
Survey said.
Wow.
One strike,
hurt.
David.
I'm honestly hurt.
One strike. This is a worldwide box office, I should say as well.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that doesn't make it really any easier for me.
Right.
That makes it harder.
Since that was going to be my answer, I'm going to go. I'm going to go with. Oh man, I'm going to go with the Super Mario movie.
Steve.
What your ass say?
Come on, Steve.
I picked a topic I thought you guys would have both have expertise in.
And video game movies are terrible.
I feel like you both are into movies, though.
Yes.
So
Okay.
if this falls flat, I'm very sad. But there's a couple.
It's not
going
gonna
to
fall flat. We look ridiculous either way.
Okay.
So I mean, people get a laugh out of that. Okay, my next guess is there was freaking 7 of them, so they had to do well. Or is it a movie, or can it be a series?
A singular movie. So
okay,
if you guess
forget
a
that.
movie
I
in a
forget
series,
it's none
you
of the
have
Resident
to pick
Evils.
the right one.
Okay. As a series, I think it could be up there, but I don't think one is going to be up there. Game to movie. I don't know if I have anymore.
You're about to get the X, David.
Yeah, I know.
X gonna give it to you.
Okay, the first Resident Evil movie then. I'm just going to be wrong, then not be wrong for no reason.
Do you know the exact title of that?
It's just Resident Evil.
So
it is one of them.
There is not the first Resident Evil on there. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, that's a hint at least.
Steve, make a funny joke.
Oh, hell no.
Joke. Okay. Jeremy, back up to you. This is falling super flat.
I think I got one. I got one.
Okay, you looked it up on your computer.
No, I didn't. I've been thinking. I think I got one. It's a fairly recent one. It did really well. It is the Sonic movie.
No, damn it!
Is it on the board?
Go to the board.
Ding ding.
Oh no!
It is number 7 at $306 million worldwide.
7?
There's a lot of really high-ranking video game movies. So you have 6 answers above it. David, back to you. Are you going to get your third strike?
Yes, I am.
And be eliminated?
Hold on. I have a clarifying question though.
Yes.
This is top grossing, not most profitable, correct?
Top grossing.
All right.
Top 10 box office grossing movies. Video game movies.
Okay. All right.
We need one, David.
What happened? Where David?
We need one, David. Silence is not great on a podcast.
I am really thinking.
Steve, can you take up some time, please?
Resident Evil. Which one? Extinction.
Resident Evil Extinction. Is it on there?
What your ass say?
Oh,
you're now eliminated. This Jeremy, he's eliminated. You now have free reign and 2 guesses left to fill up as many as you want.
Excellent. So one that I'm going to go with that I believe I will get is Assassin's Creed on there.
Oh, hell no.
It is not.
It's a
I thought
bad
they were
movie.
making a movie. They made a movie?
Yeah, they made one with Michael Fassbender. It was terrible.
Oh God.
Let's see here. Oh man, it's video game movies.
Right? This was hard.
But all video game movies are bad.
We're not caring about the quality, about the money.
Right. So I'm gonna go with. I think I know one. I'm gonna go with the third Resident Evil movie because that's when they were in the desert, right?
That's the one I said.
You are wrong.
What the hell was that?
You guys are both terrible at gaming Grood. Steve, diss them, please,
This is a
or
terrible-
something.
this is a
We
terrible
were
survey.
okay. We were not bad at the game. We were bad at the category.
Number 10, 2018 Tomb Raider, $274 million.
Wait, there was one. What?
Yeah, there
David.
was. Yeah, that did.
Number
yeah.
9, Lara Croft Tomb Raider, 2001, starring
Yeah,
Angelina
that's-
Jolie.
Okay, I should remember that one.
Number 8, Resident Evil Afterlife. That is the
Afterlife.
4th
Oh, my
installment in the
God.
Resident Evil
Yeah.
franchise.
That was my struggle.
7 was Sonic. Number 6, Resident Evil: The Final Chapter, the 6th installment.
What?
Yes.
I'm surprised. About
Number 5, you were close, Jeremy, with the Ubisoft Prince of Persia: Sands of Time.
With Jake
Starring-
Gyllenhaal.
I totally forgot about that.
Starring a not Persian Jake Gyllenhaal.
I actually saw that movie.
So did I.
Number 4, the Angry Birds movie,
Okay, whatever.
based on a game.
God. Yeah. Okay.
Number 3, Rampage, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Oh, dear God.
Wow. I hate myself. I played that game so much as a kid.
Number 2, Detective Pikachu, starring Ryan Reynolds. Just came out, guys. No excuse.
Yeah, but
No
I
excuse.
really
No one
hate
cares about
Pikachu.
Detective
I hate
Pikachu or
Pikachu.
Ryan Reynolds.
I saw it in
Oh,
theaters.
I care about
thought
Ryan
it was
Reynolds,
wonderful.
but I don't care about Pikachu.
And then number 1, you have the Warcraft movie.
That did well.
That sold a lot of money. It made a lot of money. It did very
Wow.
well in China, I believe. But yes, that took home $439 million. And those were the top 10 grossing movies. I will never do another movie list again.
Here's what I'll say in defense of myself and David.
We have an aspiring director and a man who wants to be an actor, and you guys bombed.
Several defenses, okay?
Several.
One, okay? This is a fairly ethnocentric Midwestern podcast. And you're up here telling us about what the Chinese are watching, like we're aware of that. Okay.
Right? Right? I like this. Keep going.
Yeah. Number 2, okay? Number 2, right?
Number 2, go on.
Yeah, number 2, right? Is that you have, these movies, 2 or 3 of them are within the same franchise or the same IP. You have back-to-backs on the Tomb Raiders, right? Which and then you have Resident Evil 4 and 6, right? You have 2 Resident Evils. You're talking to us about Detective Pikachu. Like if that's like no one who's an adult cares about Detective Pikachu, okay?
It was a good movie.
That's fine, but we aren't going by best movies featuring an animal from childhood that's now being voiced by Deadpool, right? Like that's not the category. We're talking about top whatever thingies with the movies in video games. It's absolutely unbelievable. I mean, I'm going back in my mind. I'm thinking of 80s. I'm thinking about Double Dragon, terrible. I'm thinking about Super Mario Bros, terrible. I'm thinking about Dead or Alive, terrible. And none of the movies you mentioned are good either. But those are like classic, terrible video game movies.
We've never had a game fail harder than this. So thank you, Steve Harvey.
We can always prove ourselves later.
And back to Jeremy.
Right. Everyone, I'm so sorry for how this game went. Steve, I hope we didn't offend you. We hope you'll come back for more Gamely Grude. We're going to keep the game. We're just going to change the topic. Hopefully it'll be more worth your time.
Never again movies.
Never again movies, but Steve Harvey will be back. We have him on retainer. Thanks to you guys' support of the podcast. That leads us to the final segment, which is the final thoughts, where we give one last thought or point each of us want to make about anything related or not related to this level. So, gentlemen, who would like to give their final thought first?
Sure, I'll go. I was going to talk about Persona 5 Strikers and Super Mario 3D World, but I will not now because I've already mentioned them. I will say that I have tried macaroons over last weekend, which are a very exclusive cookie that is hard to find, and they are delicious. And I recommend that everyone picks up some macaroons at your local bakery or Trader Joe's or Vincent Joe's, someplace like that, because they are a treat not to be missed.
Nice. David, what's your final thought?
My final thought is I am not doing so great in this video game selection thingy. One of my games have been infinitely delayed, and then none of them have came out so far. I think Resident Evil and Pokemon Snap will do well, but I don't see this going very well. That's my final thought.
Okay.
A little more depressing than usual for you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't always be the light.
My final thought is I am just fuming over this Gamer League group. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I mean, this is just a ridiculous. This is a ridiculous list. Okay, top grossing or whatever it was. It's supposed to have been U.S. top grossing, right? That would have made more sense. We're Americans, okay? That's, you know, you got the, what was it? Transformers. It's like one of the highest grossing movies of all time because of the overseas box office. We're talking about Americans, all right? So that's, you know, that's my somewhat final thought about stuff.
By American.
By American. And that leads us to the end of level 22 of the Thoughts and Players podcast. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to the podcast on your preferred podcast service. We are on Spotify, Apple, Google, Stitcher, iHeart, TuneIn, and a bunch of other places, I'm assuming. We're also on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. Don't forget that. You can like and follow the podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/thoughts and players, all one word, as well as on Instagram at thoughts.players. We are on Twitter, Thoughts Players 2. We just passed 1,000 followers on there.
Holla.
And we are also on TikTok. We have not passed 1,000 followers on there.
We're getting close,
though.
We're getting close. We're getting close. So you guys make sure that you are informed and up on the train as we continue moving forward. 2021 is going to give us bigger and better things. We want to make sure you all are a part of it. We want to thank our first partner/sponsors for the Thoughts and Players podcast, which is Tifosi. If you guys are looking at the video, you will see Cory sporting his. You will see David sporting his. You will not see me sporting mine because I forgot mine upstairs, but I did intend to wear them. I will wear them some other time. But we're very grateful to have them as our sponsors. So make sure you check out their eyewear. Links will be in the description, in the show notes, so you'll know exactly where to go. Help your boys out, and make sure you help your eyes out. But that is it for us. We want to thank everyone again, and we will catch you on the next level.
Peace.